What's an hour of your time really worth? What's a half hour of your time worth? Hey everybody, Coach Brew here. Another episode of Windshield Wisdom as we drive through a neighboring town next to where I live. This is Falmouth, Maine. On one corner at this light, you'll see a convenience store / gas station. Cumberland Farms sells coffee. Another one behind me, catty corner in that intersection, kind of back left as you're watching this, sells coffee. There's a grocery store in the plaza on my left, sells coffee. Okay, stick with me on this. You're about to see my point illustrated for you in all of its glory. Right up ahead here, there's another little place that sells coffee. I'm going to take you in there just to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, it's called Starbucks. Here's the drive-through line that wraps around the building. It's not quite as deep as it was a second ago, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 vehicles. 13 in the drive-through line, which is right there. So here's my question for you. How long do you think these people are going to sit in that line? Half hour? At least. Maybe an hour. I understand you can't go in the store, and I understand everybody loves Starbucks. But how much do you love yourself? How much do you love your time? How much do you value your time? Because time is money. That's an old trite expression. Why? In part, it's cliche because, well, it's true. Time is money. Here's the grocery store that sells hot coffee right in front of me, Shaw's. We're going to hang a right here, and we're going to pass a bunch of other places that also sell coffee and don't have lines. And I think you see what I'm getting at with this very visual example. There's a group of people who love their Starbucks. Loyal, raving fans, super fans as I like to call them, who could have gone to this McDonald's on your left, where the drive-thru has a whopping 2 cars. 2. I actually just went to the Dunkin' Donuts right here on your left, which has a whopping 5 cars in the line. 5. Why? Because, yeah, I love Starbucks. Yep, pumpkin spice is my favorite. You know that if you've been listening to this or reading my stuff for any period of time. But here's the thing, I love myself more. I love my time. I realize that time is money, especially when you're an entrepreneur. How are you? You're either spending, wasting, or investing time. If you spend it, I hope whatever you did is entertaining. If you wasted it, I feel bad for you. But if you invested it, you're getting a return. I went through the drive-thru. It took 2 minutes. I got a cup of coffee and I got a couple donuts for my kids because they love donuts. I also had to go to the post office, and Dunkin' Donuts was on the way. But we just passed half a dozen places where you can get coffee without a line. An hour or half an hour might not seem like a lot of time. It's only half an hour, Brew. Yeah, well, did you ever stop and figure out what an hour of your time is worth? So, what do you make in a year? Don't answer that out loud. That's for you. It's a critical thinking question. What do you make in a year? And did you back that out and divide it up and do the math? Well, here's what I'm making. This is my annual salary, or, last year's revenue and everything. After expenses, here's what I made. But then did you ever divide it out by the number of hours, roughly, that you work? Let's say it's a regular old job where you have a boss and you work a traditional 40-hour work week. You got your annual salary, but what's that when you do the math and divide it out What are you worth per hour? What's your time worth per hour? It's going to be pretty revealing. I think my business kind of went to another level a few years ago when I realized time's money, and I shouldn't be spending my time doing administrative tasks that are not revenue producing, that don't move the needle on my business. I can hire out somebody to do that at, let's say, $30 an hour, which is generous considering you can hire freelancers online for far cheaper an hour. Let's just say it's $30. My time, conservatively, it's worth $200 an hour. Why would I spend an hour of my time / waste an hour of my time doing a $30 an hour task I could hire someone else to do while I went and made $200 for that same hour? And I think that's a question we all ought to be asking ourselves. What am I worth per hour? There's too many people treat their business like a hobby, not like a real business. I think if you're doing admin, you're selling yourself short in terms of what your revenue producing activities are, your ability to produce them, and the return on your time. What is the return on your time in every task you do? So I would encourage you, if you're sitting down watching this, don't do this, what I'm about to suggest. If you're driving, listening to this, or are elsewhere moving in a vehicle, but if you're sitting down, take out your calendar, online or paper and pen calendar, and take a look at all the tasks you did yesterday, last week, this month. What are the high value activities? What are the revenue producing activities that you engaged in? List them out. What are the non-revenue producing activities that you engaged in and could have delegated or contracted out for to a freelancer? So I guarantee you those revenue producing activities are worth far more than the non-revenue producing activities, the admin, the paperwork, that kind of thing. That's the difference between treating your business like a business and treating it like a hobby. Know your value. I just published an article about knowing your value, what an NFL draft pick and a 10-year-old kid can teach you about knowing your value. That's available at coachbrew.com on my blog, or if you subscribe to my newsletter, you already got it in your inbox. But I would encourage you to take a close look at that article about knowing your value. I think that's when, it isn't so much that your business has to fundamentally change for you to make a jump in revenue. Your habits just have to change. You need to stop spending and wasting time and do more investing of time, more delegating of tasks that are either non-revenue producing for you or simply are not in your strength zone. So one of the things I see with my coaching clients so often, when you look at their daily activities, I think our habits are very revealing. Success leaves clues, so does failure. But when you look at our daily activities, that dictates to a large extent our value. How are you valuing yourself? Are you fiercely protective of your time to make sure you're doing more revenue producing activities? If not, you need to be. I know that's when I hired my business coach a bunch of years ago, it's one of the first things we looked at. What are your top 3 revenue producing activities? Speaking, coaching, and writing. So he had me delegate out darn near everything else, unless it was something that was like a passion project that I just really enjoyed and it energized me and it wasn't a huge time suck. I delegated out everything else to an assistant, my web person, a virtual assistant, a bookkeeper. And that's when my income took a nice big jump. It wasn't something I was really consciously aware of, but he helped me figure out I needed to take my business and treat it like a business, not a hobby. Delegating out is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, it's a sign of being smart. You know, are you working in your business or on your business? Another cliche, but why is that so popular? Because it's true. There are far too many people working in their business, not on their business. They get stuck in the weeds. You get in so deep with everything, you can't see the picture when you're trapped inside the frame, the forest through the trees, however you want to phrase it. You're too close to the situation. You're trying to do too much. So there's financial value in doing less and having other people do more. And when you realize that if you spend an hour making $200, it's exponentially worthwhile to hire someone at $30, $20 an hour, whatever it is, to handle some of those menial tasks for you so you don't have to. You've paid for that person to do work for you that would have taken you more time and energy and made a profit. Just looking at, trading an hour for an hour there. Your value, the value of that admin task, let's say, or a marketing task. You're coming out in the bonus. And it's a subtle shift. It's not, like a huge fundamental change to everything you're doing. It's just simply being smart about your habits and how you value your time. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Let's take a look at the day, the week, the past month. Where are you spending your time? How are you spending it? And put a dollar value on that. Gave a speech. It's worth X amount of money. Got paid to give a speech. Great. That's an hour well spent. In my case, in my business, that's a high value activity. It's one of my top 3 revenue producing activities. What else did you do that day? Paperwork, bookkeeping, a mailing that someone else could have taken care of. What was the financial cost of doing that instead of something that you are uniquely qualified to do for your business that's high value, that's revenue producing? You can start to get a sense of perhaps how much money you've left on the table and how much more impactful you can be also. And that's, I just gave you the quantitative real quick before we wrap up. I'm going to give you the qualitative aspect to all this. Is if you're spending a lot of your time doing things that suck the life out of you, that you hate, that you view as like drudgery in your business or necessary evil, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. You're kind of like the cell phone that I'm filming this on. It's my iPhone. It's actually plugged into my charger right now because the battery's dying. But that takes energy. You doing that drudgery, that paperwork, that trivial stuff that drives you nuts. It sucks up physical and emotional bandwidth that drains you. So that even if you have time left over, when you have time left over for your high value activities, you're not as effective. You're not 100% there because you are not completely recharged and refreshed and ready to perform those high value activities. And that's the qualitative side of it. And if you're, I think everything we do, we're all performers. Our stage just looks a little different than, say, Kenny Chesney or Garth Brooks' stage they perform on. But whatever our role is, whatever our industry, our job, we're giving a performance. And if you're a little off one night, your customers notice. You ever go to a show, a concert, and see like the musician was just a little low energy compared to the last time you saw them, or even hell, compared to their opening act. Something just seemed a little off. It's probably late in their tour, or maybe they're not taking care of themselves, the night before, the morning of the show, that week. It drains their battery. Just like it drains your battery when you're not taking care of yourself, or when you're just doing things that suck the life out of you that you hate. It is worthwhile for you to have someone else take care of those tasks. I mean, that's what a manager's for with a musician. That's what a tour manager is for with musicians. They handle a lot of the tasks that allow the musician to rest and focus on making sure their show is the best that it can be that night. Somebody else is handling the busy work during the day. Same thing with a tour bus driver. Artists don't drive their own tour bus. Well, when they get to the point where they can afford a bus instead of a van or a Mercedes Sprinter, why? Because they get to rest overnight. They don't have to take shifts, one person in the band driving for 4 hours, then the next, then the next, then the next, to get 16 hours down the road to the next gig the next night. No, they can all sleep on bunks on the bus, rest overnight, so when they arrive at the next venue, in whatever state they're playing in next, the performers arrive refreshed and recharged. Their batteries are full. They're at 100%. So you need to think of yourself as a performer. You need to realize the value of your time per hour, and delegate out your weaknesses. Delegate out the stuff that drains your battery as opposed to the stuff that gets you charged up. That's what I got for you. Heading back to the house. We're going to wrap up this episode of Windshield Wisdom. What's an hour of your time worth? Think about it. And there's more information like that. Also, that article about knowing your value is available on my website, coachbrew.com. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, go to coachbrew.com. Top of the page, just enter your email address. You'll automatically receive a special report called 12 Ways to Double Your Sales, 12 Ways to Double Your Results. When you subscribe, you'll get that. It is a $99 value. Make sure you check it out, because you get it for free when you join my community. Thanks for watching another episode of Windshield Wisdom. We'll see you soon. Make it a great day.